A Florida deputy found himself standing just feet away from a woman holding a knife, and she refused to drop it. The incident took place on March 30th at a Walmart in Summerfield, Florida, after deputies received reports of a woman threatening customers with a knife. When deputies arrived, they found the 32-year-old woman standing motionless in the parking lot, clutching a pocket knife in her hand. Deputy Witta repeatedly ordered her to drop the weapon, but she refused to comply. Instead, she remained silent, gripping the knife while officers tried to de-escalate the situation. Every second that passed increased the danger. Investigators later learned that the woman had allegedly used approximately 4 grams of methamphetamine earlier that day. They also discovered she had an extensive criminal history across multiple Florida counties, including charges involving theft, vandalism, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, kidnapping, and several other offenses. For nearly 2 minutes, the standoff continued with no sign that she intended to surrender. Then backup finally arrived. With additional deputies on scene, Deputy Witta was able to transition from his service weapon to a less lethal taser, giving officers a safer option to bring the confrontation to an end. Unfortunately, that wasn't the last bizarre encounter officers would face. 2 officers were dispatched to an apartment complex after receiving complaints about loud noise coming from one of the units. Pretty standard call, nothing unusual at first. But when officers arrived on scene, everything seemed strangely calm, trying to figure out what was going on. The officers approached the woman who had originally called police, and almost immediately, the situation took a bizarre turn. The woman suddenly became extremely agitated, yelling at officers, aggressively demanding they leave the property, despite the fact that she was the one who had called them there in the first place. At some point, it almost seemed like she had completely forgotten why she called 911 in the first place. Instead, she appeared offended simply by the presence of police in her building. But the officers stayed calm and professional. They weren't there to argue. They were there to do their job and determine whether an actual disturbance had taken place, and more importantly, whether the call itself had been made maliciously, without legitimate cause. Because if that were the case, she could potentially face charges for wasting police resources. But as the interaction continued, officers quickly realized something else was going on. The woman appeared heavily intoxicated, confused, and emotionally out of control. At that point, officers decided the smartest move was to disengage and leave the area before things escalated even further. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Moments later, officers watched the woman storm out of her apartment and suddenly begin attacking one of her tenants. That's when the situation instantly changed, from annoying to criminal. The officers rushed in and quickly restrained her before anyone else got hurt. But even after being arrested, the chaos didn't stop there. Once transported to the police station, the woman continued yelling, arguing, and causing problems for everyone around her, acting just as loud and combative as she had back at the apartment complex. Eventually, after hours of processing and dealing with her behavior, officers formally charged her with disorderly conduct. She was allowed to sleep off the alcohol in jail overnight, and once she finally sobered up, she was released. But by then, the damage and the embarrassment had already been done. The next incident unfolded very differently. May 25th, police were dispatched to an airport after reports of a disorderly passenger causing a major disturbance inside the terminal. At first, officers likely expected routine intoxication call, but within minutes, it became obvious this situation was far from normal. When officers arrived, they encountered a visibly emotional woman, claiming someone had just assaulted her and tried to choke her. The woman was later identified as Terry Ann B. Officers immediately attempted to calm her down, gather information about what had happened. But as they began speaking with witnesses nearby, a very different story started to emerge. According to multiple passengers, nobody had seen anyone choke or attack Terry. Instead, witnesses described Terry as highly intoxicated, behaving aggressively. Before the confrontation even started, passengers explained that Terry had rushed toward the boarding gate, pushing past people waiting in line in an attempt to force her way to the front. One passenger reportedly stopped her and pushed her back into line. That single moment appeared to trigger a complete emotional meltdown. Terry immediately began screaming, that she had been assaulted and loudly accused the passenger of attacking her. Unfortunately for Terry, none of the surrounding passengers supported her version of events. Even after police arrived, she desperately tried convincing nearby travelers to support her claims, repeatedly asking people to tell officers they had witnessed an assault. For nearly 5 minutes, Terry repeated the same accusations over and over, while yelling across the terminal. But no one believed her story. At that point, officers spoke directly with the man she accused. Unlike Terry, the man remained calm, respectful, and cooperative. He explained he had only stopped her from cutting in line. Meanwhile, Terry kept escalating the situation, claiming the man had choked her and thrown her to the ground. Officers repeatedly tried to calm her down, but Terry stayed focused on yelling at nearby passengers. During the investigation, officers learned Terry had been drinking margaritas. Drinking alcohol isn't illegal, but officers believed it was contributing to her erratic behavior, emotional outbursts. Even after 15 minutes, Terry refused to calm down. She kept screaming, arguing, and blaming everyone around her. At that point, officers placed her into custody. That's when things got even worse. As officers attempted the arrest, Terry became increasingly aggressive. She screamed profanities, kicked at officers, resisted being placed into the patrol car. Getting her into the back seat became a struggle. Eventually, officers secured Terry inside the patrol car, but she kept screaming all the way to jail. After the investigation, Terry faced far more serious charges than expected. She was charged with public intoxication, resisting arrest, possession of marijuana, possession of dangerous drugs. In the end, simple airport dispute became a criminal case involving intoxication, resisting police, and drug possession. Once again, alcohol, entitlement, and public chaos proved to be a dangerous combination. Legally speaking, the moment Terry resisted officers, the case became a full criminal incident. But the next case would prove even more dangerous. This case out of New Mexico takes that stereotype to a whole new level. All started when a blue Hyundai was spotted speeding aggressively down a New Mexico highway. The officer initiated a traffic stop, but the moment he stepped out of his patrol car, the driver slammed the gas and took off, almost as if humiliating the officer was part of the fun. Realizing the situation could escalate quickly, the officer chose not to engage in a dangerous high-speed pursuit. Instead, he radioed in the vehicle description and cautiously followed the direction the Hyundai had fled. And then, most unbelievably, he found the same vehicle parked outside a nearby gas station. After speaking with people at the scene, the officer learned the driver was hiding out inside the restroom. What followed was a tense confrontation. Officers attempted to escort the woman back outside, determine exactly why she had fled in the first place, and what she might be trying to hide. The resistance started small, but escalated rapidly the moment she realized the seriousness of the charges she was facing. Unable to properly identify her at first, the officer called for backup, requested another unit monitor the suspect while he continued the investigation. The woman was eventually identified as Jamie Granger. The gas station manager confirmed she had been driving the blue Hyundai. But things only got worse from there. While speaking with Jamie, officers noticed the strong odor of alcohol coming from her breath. Field sobriety tests were conducted, and she failed them badly. When officers informed her they would be searching the vehicle, that's when her attitude completely exploded. Seconds later, officers discovered 2 opened bottles of vodka sitting beside the driver's seat. That discovery sent Jamie into a full-blown meltdown. The situation quickly turned violent. Officers say Jamie kicked one deputy in the chest, even bit another officer during the arrest. At that point, she wasn't just dealing with speeding or fleeing from police anymore. She was now facing multiple serious criminal charges, but strangely enough, jail time didn't seem to be Jamie's biggest concern. Instead, she appeared far more focused, creating the loudest, most dramatic public scene possible, somehow believing that screaming, fighting, and causing chaos might magically get her released. Spoiler alert. It didn't.